Howdy, cowpokes. So what are we doing today, Lieutenant Dan? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to install frame sliders onto Z900RS. Very simple procedure. I'll walk you through it. We'll come back and see the finished product. But what you will need to do is remove these plastic caps from here. There's one engine mount. And on the other side, you will find the other engine mount. On the set that I bought, which are OES or something like that, I got off of Amazon for like 70 bucks. They look comparable to the Shoguns, and most of the others seem pretty heavy duty. I'll put a link there. Well, all you're going to need to do to remove and put on the new one is you're going to need a ratchet or T-handle, whichever is your preference. You're going to need a 14 mil socket to pull that bolt out. And then you'll need an 8mm hex on a socket or on a T-handle to put the new one back in. So I don't know the torque specs. I'll have to look those up, but I'm going to go ahead and pull out one. I wouldn't do them both at the same time. Do one, don't move the bike. The last thing you want to do is have the bike or the motor shift slightly and have something not line up. And whatever you do, be careful putting in the new screw. Do not get it cross-threaded, okay? This threads into a tab on the motor. Last thing you want to do is cross-thread it, mess it up. Then you got to tap it, get a new bolt, all that kind of stuff. Thread it by hand. If you want to use a torque wrench to pull this one off, great. Do not put a new one on with a torque wrench. I've made that mistake once, regretted it. Always thread it in at least 5-6 turns by hand to make sure it is not cross-threaded. And then if you want to snug it up with a torque wrench or something like that, that's usually fine. I usually won't use a torque wrench retightening things. I'll seat it by hand and then use the torque wrench. So all we're going to do is remove that bolt. We're going to put the new bolt in. That's going to slide right in and tighten up just like that. So we'll be back in a minute, let you know how it went. I don't believe there's Loctite on there. I will note if there's grease or anti-seize. If there is anti-seize or grease on the stock bolt, I will put a dab of grease on this, and then we'll go from there. See you in a minute. All right, we're back, installed. That took 5 minutes. And really it was just because I was messing around, just getting it torqued right and putting whatchamacallit, anti-seize, put a little grease on the threads, making sure that they put it in carefully, because like I said, the motor might shift 1/2 millimeter when you remove. You're basically removing one of the support bolts. So then the bolt might want to go in slightly crooked, so you need to be careful putting them back in. This goes anytime you're removing an engine bolt. Sometimes it goes straight back in, sometimes that it goes at a little bit of an angle, and you got to go in and go slow, make sure there's no resistance. If there is, back it right out, check the threads. If you go a thread or two and it's cross-threaded, not that big a deal. If you get 7, 8, 9, 10 down and then you realize, uh-oh, there's a problem, it's probably already too late. So I got these in, they look good. I may, because there's nothing red on the bike, so I'll probably just peel the stupid sticker off and just make it a little more, you know, inobtrusive. I'm still gonna get the RNG crash protection like I've got here on the R1. This is going on the dyno tomorrow with Chris Moore, so stay tuned. There'll be some good stuff coming tomorrow. But yeah, so that's that. We're gonna put some RNG crash protectors on the cases, because you know everyone thinks like, oh geez, I had crash protection, I had these frame sliders, and you know I rashed up my plastics if it's a sport bike, or I did that. It's a frame saver. It's not a fairing saver. It's not an engine case saver. I put these on because it'll help protect this part of the frame. Most importantly, it'll protect the radiator. I mean, if I slide into something and it smashes that, but if it's just going along the ground, this is gonna hit way before that. So if I do, you know, a low speed at 40 miles an hour or something in the mountains, I will, by keeping the bike off a little bit on this, this will take less of a hit. But if you go down without one of these, chances are you're gonna hit that radiator. And if you do, you're not gonna ride very far getting home. You know, the bike might be banged up, you might snap a lever or bend some stuff, but you wanna still be able to get home if you can, if the bike is rideable and if you're not injured too bad. But one good whack to the radiator, and there goes your coolant, and you're not going anywhere. So that's the biggest reason. And I like where these are mounted right there. I don't expect it to save the tank. I don't expect it to do, you know, save the rest of the bike cosmetically, but it might make the difference of whether I can ride it home or not, or I got to call somebody to come pick me up. So I'll get the case covers for this next, and that's really it. This bike doesn't need anything else. I did all the mods and the performance and the tuning and the suspension and everything I wanted to do this thing, and the re-gearing and the chain and the tires, you name it. But the one thing I didn't have was any crash protection. So don't want to tempt fate too much. So we'll show the other side here. Installed those. I probably will go ahead and peel those stickers off so it doesn't draw attention to the fact that there's, you know, a different color there. And oh, hey, what's that? You want it to kind of just blend in. So I'll go ahead and peel those bad boys off. I think it looks better already. And then it also won't bug my OCD that I didn't have the labels lined up. If you looked at both sides at the same time, you would have seen that this one was rotated more than the other. So now I don't have to even worry about that. Not that everybody would, but we'll go ahead and get that. Peel this off. Boom, nice and clean. Looks better. The engine's all blacked out. Everything's good. So that blends in even better. Anyway, hope you enjoy. If you want to do these, probably one of the easiest bikes you'll have to do. This one I haven't installed them to yet, and probably won't, just because Donald's probably going to trade this in on a Multistrada V2. But this one bolts in, but then on the other one, there's a nut on the back. You don't have a lot of room to get a wrench up in there. That one's more of a pain in the ass. This one was pretty straightforward. That was a no cut, went right in, and that's why I went with that style for this. It doesn't look as period. There are some that have a mount here and go over to here. I just want something in case I drop it in the driveway. I mean, if you go up in the mountains or you're on track and you wad it up, you're probably not riding it home anyway, I guess. But on low speed stuff or just dropping in the driveway, I don't want to smash that radiator. So anyway, that's what we got for today. We'll have a, let's see, I got a knife video uploading right now. I've got Saturday morning coffee with Dave coming up on Saturday. And then tomorrow we're heading up to the dyno tomorrow. I'm going to trailer this up. Fortunately, it's going to be too cold to ride up. It's going to be 42 degrees. I can ride a short distance, but not 100 miles each way. I just don't think I can do that. That's going to be brutal. So I'll have to trailer it up. We'll throw it on the dyno. We're going to do all the unrestrictions on B mode, which is the one I prefer to ride in, not A mode. Get me full power there. And then we're going to throw it on the dyno, see what we're getting, and make any needed tweaks to the fueling. So stay tuned for that. Talk to you guys later.